Joining me now are Florida Congressman Byron Donalds and Fox and Friends Weekend co-host Will Cain. Welcome both, gentlemen.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I'm so used to saying good morning
evening.
to you.
How are you?
I know.
It is good evening.
Good evening. Will, I'm going to start with you. Do you think that I'm being hyperbolic when I say that this is a war on our freedom?
No. I absolutely do not think you're being hyperbolic. I did enjoy listening to you, Rachel, and I think you're spot on. I asked myself, what is the purpose of this? When we watched what we watched unfold yesterday, why is Joe Biden launching this war on the unvaccinated and launching this war on our freedom? And I think it's two reasons, Rachel and Congressman. I'll tell you what I think they are. One shallow and one is deep. The shallow one is his poll numbers are tanking. Tomorrow is the 20th anniversary of 9/11.
Yeah.
We will remember that day as he left Americans behind in Afghanistan, and the American public knows it, and his poll numbers are absolutely tanking. So he must distract. In order to distract, he finds something else that will divide us, and that gets us to the second reason that he did this. It's not scientific, and Rachel, he knows that. He knows that there are some 100 million people or 80 million people who have natural immunity. He knows that the unvaccinated are no threat to the vaccinated. So the strategy is divide and comply. Divide us on race. They didn't really care about racial divisions. Divide us on vaccination status. They don't really care about vaccination status, but they know if they divide, then they can make us comply. And the deeper purpose is to accumulate power by making the American population comply.
I couldn't agree more with you, Will. Congressman, so as a member of Congress, you're actually exempt from these rules, unlike other federal employees. And like me, you've had COVID, and so you're unvaccinated because of that. You have natural immunities. But if you weren't exempted, what would you do if you were given this mandate, this executive order, and you were a federal employee like many of the people that work for you?
Well, if I was a federal employee, the first thing I would do is go talk to my union, because the facts are very clear. We can't get rid of federal employees for not doing their job. So how are we going to get rid of them if they don't take a vaccine? That part just doesn't make any sense. And you could already see the public sector unions have been coming out very, very quietly saying, well, you know, we should have negotiated this behind closed doors before he went out and did it. So I think that's going to fall flat on its face. But let me talk to private sector workers and private sector business owners. I would not follow this mandate. This is atrocious. This is a complete breach of power of the executive. He doesn't have this authority. He's looking for anything he can do to basically try to cure the problems he's having politically, because everybody knows, especially the Taliban, that Joe Biden is an abject disaster. And so he's looking for anything he can to try to get some footing. So if I was in the private sector, I would not follow this order. I would look at OSHA right in the face, or whatever bureaucrat they sent to try to collect these fines, and tell them, I'll see you in court, because in court you will win.
Well, CNN's Dr. Leanne Wen, she used to head up, by the way, Planned Parenthood. She says that this executive order doesn't go far enough. I want you to listen to this. This is very interesting.
I don't think it goes far enough. All 50 states have laws on the books to require routine childhood immunizations, which we really should be looking at the COVID vaccine the same way. And when it comes to employers, I think what the Biden administration did was quite brilliant, because it gives air cover for businesses that have wanted to do this, that have wanted to put vaccine mandates in place, but they didn't want to have their employees complain about them. The Biden administration, if anything, could have gone even further.
So she gave the analogy of driving drunk. As you know, you're a lawyer. Driving drunk is a crime. I mean, is this where they're going? They want to criminalize the unvaccinated?
She also went to, by the way, interstate travel. She said you have no right to board a plane if you're unvaccinated. It's not an American right guaranteed in the Constitution to board a plane. I believe, by the way, the 1964 Civil Rights Act was purposefully, intentionally brought through the Constitution, through the Interstate Commerce Clause. It was so that we could recognize the right of black Americans to enjoy interstate travel. But Dr. Leanne Wen, by the way, and she's probably unfamiliar to most of this audience, is one of the most dangerous people speaking on television. She combines cruelty and stupidity and a medical degree and a horrible concoction that would have each and every one of us suffer under her boot heel. And the boot heel, Rachel, let's pay attention. It's an unelected administrative state. The CDC is now in charge of property rights in the form of eviction moratoriums. And now OSHA is in charge of our personal health decisions. America needs to wake up, because the red alarms, the sirens, they're going off right now.
Congressman, really quick, I don't have a lot of time, but I do want to get you on this. What is Congress going to do? I know you called for civil disobedience. By the way, I'm with you on that. But what is Congress going to do, especially as Republicans are in the minority?
Congress is going to do a whole lot of nothing because Nancy Pelosi will not allow any vote to go against Joe Biden. It's very unfortunate, but folks, elections do have consequences, and these are the consequences. Republicans are going to stand strong as much as we can, but when you don't have the votes and Nancy Pelosi's in charge, there's very little that you can do because she's just as totalitarian with the House as Joe Biden appears to be with the country.
Elections have consequences. Congressman, thank you for joining us.